At what point did you know that you wanted to pursue costume design, or what was your kind of entry path?
From as young as I can remember, I was interested in clothes. I loved clothes. I loved wearing clothes. And I made dolls' clothes. Basically, the first clothes I made were for dolls.
How did you meet Lindsay Kemp? Lindsay Kemp, for me, his relationship with David Bowie
Yeah.
and
Like you, I knew of Lindsay Kemp because I read everything printed about David Bowie. The company came to London and they performed at the Roundhouse Theatre at Chalk Farm, this amazing place. And I saw for the first time a production of his called Flowers that was like nothing I'd ever seen or experienced before. It was just the most magical, intoxicating sort of event. A few years later, when I was at art school, I had a really great tutor in my on my foundation course who then sort of encouraged me to study theatre design. So I went to Central School of Art, as it was called at the time. At the end of my second year, Lindsay Kemp came to town again. And
hmm,
this time he was doing dance classes at the Pineapple Dance Centre. And I'd taken a few sketches with me from college. And at the end
as
of that,
one does.
at the end of that class, I went up and I sort of said, "Oh, I saw you when I was 16 and I really love your work. And do you want to have a look at some of mine?" And he said, "Yeah, let's go to the pub." And so we went to the pub and then I continued doing his classes. And then we just hung out and became friends. And then by the end of the summer, I was jumping on a plane and went to Barcelona to stay with him.
Oh,
And
wow.
then he just said, "Oh, come and work for me." So I then went home, spoke to my parents, called my college and said, "I'm having a year out before the final year." And then I never went back.
So your first film was, I mean, how insane. Your first film was Caravaggio with Derek Jarman, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Caravaggio was it turned my head around 10 times when I saw it. I remember seeing it and being so gobsmacked. If I understand it right, you like me did not apprentice your way up the chain,
Uh,
you just kind of were thrown in the
yeah.
mix, right?
Yeah. Thrown in the deep end.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that film experience was like none other since, because actually working with Derek was never really like working with other directors on other films. And it was actually not that dissimilar to working in the theatre or the kind of theatre that I was used to doing, which is where everybody gets involved with everything. So,
Mm.
for instance, when the scenic artists finished painting the scenery and they'd done their job, they came in and helped make costumes. I mean, I was making the costumes with my assistant Annie Simons, who's now, who is a costume designer as well, making the costumes as we went along. I mean, honestly, it was 2 weeks before we even knew that either one of us should be on set. Well, for shooting.
If you were to look at your timeline of the 40 years of film, like how you would, if you would curate, if you had to
Yeah.
narrow it down, like what films
I
do
guess
you
what the
feel?
highlights were, obviously Caravaggio, obviously the first one. Then I might jump to Velvet Goldmine with
Mm,
Todd,
mm.
which was an amazing experience. Just such good fun, hard work, good fun. And I knew it was a film I had to do. I'd heard about the film being made before I knew who Todd was, and I thought that I'm going to do that film. Velvet Goldmine, Gangs of New York, I
Mm.
think probably is one of the highlights, simply because obviously my first film with Marty, but it was epic. It was extraordinary, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we shot the whole thing. The whole thing was made in Rome, so I got to live in Rome for almost a year.
As a pedestrian who's, seen that film multiple times, the thing that I love so much about that film is it's period film, but it's your own world, the way that you use color.
It was a gift, really. I mean, the fact that it was about real people in a real time. I mean, it was based on some of it is factual. And then trying to sort of figure out ways to differentiate these different groups of men and the gangs as a new person in his team and his family, to actually give me that freedom to come up
Mm.
with things. But he responds very well. He's very, very visual. He's also amazing with giving you reference. So when you work with him, I mean, when I always talk about getting inside your director's mind, because that's what you want to see everything they're seeing.
Yeah.
You want to see all the things that have inspired them. You want to see the same thing, and that's what you get with him. I mean, back in the day, you get a box full of VHSs, random. I mean, some things are really obscure, and you think, why am I watching this? I mean, I've told this story before, but I mean, there was one time, and it was for gangs, that I had to watch an entire film to look for a stripe on a collar. That was it. Yeah.
That's
The
fantastic.
angle of a stripe on a collar. There you go. Watch a whole film. But
So Gangs of New York, what would come after that?
kind of in a way Cinderella, although at the time I didn't think of it, and in a way things always keep coming back to it. And I think, apart from the blue dress that haunts me, because every young person in the world loves that dress more than anything else. I mean, like in the exhibition, they wanted that taking pride of place in the middle, and I said, no, I don't want it in the middle. I just want it in there somewhere with everything else. I really enjoyed doing there were some great characters. I really enjoyed doing Kate for that as the stepmother. But Carol, I guess that's the other big one. And basically, Carol followed Cinderella. It was months. I mean, we finished Cinderella and then literally jumped straight onto Carol. So I was kind of prepping Carol when I was doing Cinderella, even with a character.
Different sides of your brain,
Yeah.
right? Flashing forward to now, what informed your choices on what films you choose to design?
The script and the director. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, I usually now say it's got to be a film that I would pay money to go and see. A film that I would want to see is the film that I would want to work on.
What can you talk about? Any upcoming projects? I know as you said yesterday, you just wrapped a film.
Yeah, that's a film called The Bitter End. It's about Wallace Simpson in her older years.
Who plays Wallace Simpson?
Wallace Simpson is played by Joan Collins, and then the other character in it, the other protagonist, is a lawyer called Maitre Blum, who's played by Isabella Rossellini, who is very thrilled to be playing her first baddie ever in her entire career.
The interesting thing, which I can't wait to see, is Joan Collins and Isabella Rossellini, who are, older women, which is thrilling.
That's the fantastic. I mean, obviously, that was the main attraction of doing a film like this. Like, your two main protagonists are two older females. How often does that happen?
Never. And then, just in general, just about paying it forward, what can you tell students, or what do you tell students who are inspired by you in your career, who want to pursue costume design?
Be prepared to work hard. It's not easy. And I think a lot of people, younger people now, expect things to happen a lot quicker, expect success or notoriety or whatever, or fame to happen a lot quicker, simply because of social media. I mean, people can become well known overnight. This is different. This is like hard graft. It's work, and be prepared to do the work, put the hours in. I also think you should learn to sew. As a designer, I think you've got to learn the basics. But I
understand construction.
I really think you should understand construction. I really do think. And I've been surprised where people actually studying in colleges have sort of said to me, oh, do you think it would be a good idea to learn how to sew? I said, absolutely, completely. What you can't already. Yeah. You can't. It doesn't work. You can't just even, doing a nice drawing means absolutely nothing if you don't know how to actually communicate that, if you don't know how that is put together.
The architecture and the balance, for sure.
And also in a fitting, to actually know, to understand what isn't working in a fitting. It helps if you know how things are put together. It helps if if you understand what your cutter is talking about or wanting to do to make something correct.
Jane had a couple questions. Do you want to just ask your questions, Jane?
Yeah, I did actually want to go back to the fact that you sort of said about Cinderella. If you're trying to make a costume that is extremely well known, how are you ensuring the creativity within those constraints? And is that a fun challenge? Your Gangs of New York, you're constrained by the idea of time and the era, but you're allowed to explore within that. But within something like a Cinderella or a Snow White, you can't really, it has to look how people expect it, but you need to create that creativity within that. I'm interested in that process.
Okay, interestingly, on Cinderella, it didn't occur to me when I started that I would be doing anything like the original, the animated version. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking, okay, now we're going to do the ball gown, and it's got to be amazing. And I went through lots of different colors before the blue. Actually,
Oh, really?
I knew I didn't want pink, so I tried other colors, not even thinking that it should be the blue. And what I ended up with because it was the color combination is like lots of different colors making up a blue. Really, it's lots of different shades of blue and purple and green in there making up that color. But it worked on Lily. It worked on, the actress wearing it. So, but then afterwards, I realized that maybe if I'd done a sort of like, I don't know, an emerald green dress, that somebody from Disney probably would have had something to have said about it. Snow White was a bit different. And I don't know why. I kind of knew. I mean, I guess having seen a few more live action Disney, since Cinderella, like Beauty and the Beast, I think that had to be a yellow gown for her. So I kind of thought, well, you know what, it's going to have to be the same combination of colors. And how will I just do another version of it? I've always thought it's really weird that somebody wears a yellow skirt with a blue bodice, on its own. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sense of that. So I did a blue overskirt. So the blue overskirt was attached to the body. So it was like a blue skirt, a blue dress with a yellow underskirt. And then when she's running through the scary forest, the overskirt gets ripped off, which is how we end up with the iconic yellow and blue top. I found that hard to reconcile, the cut the blue on the top and the yellow at the bottom.
Yeah, it's out of balance. But I have to say that costume is beautiful. And the queen as well. I mean, those costumes are exquisite.
Oh, thank you.
Really, really, really beautiful.
Is there one that you haven't worked, a person or a genre you haven't worked with yet that you would really love to, that you feel like you have that costume waiting to get out in you?
I don't know. I'm not interested in creatures, spaces. I mean, other people are much, much better at that. Or superhero outfits. I'm not particularly interested in. I think there are people who are really, really great at that. And I'm not. It doesn't interest me. As again, it's not the kind of films I go to see.
I agree.
Therefore, I'm not going to do it. So I just like doing more of the same. I mean, I like, because as you know, you still continue to learn something new every time you do a job, even if it's a period you've done 5 times before. The story will be different, and so you'll be seeing a different aspect of that period. And so I just enjoy doing that.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It was so great to talk to you, and I always love talking to you, and I really appreciate your generosity, Sandy, your friendship, your humor, and thank you for being part of this.
Thank you. It was fun. Time flew by, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.